1. US-Russia agree on Syria ceasefire plan. GS Paper 2, International Relations, India beyond its neighbors. Why recently in news? World powers have agreed to seek a nationwide cessation of hostilities in Syria, to begin in a week's time. What has been agreed? To try to immediately step up aid deliveries to besieged and hard-to-reach areas in Syria. For a US-Russia-led task force to work to achieve a cessation of hostilities across Syria beginning in 1 week's time. Cessation of hostilities will exclude action against so-called Islamic State group, jihadist group Al-Nusra Front and other UN-designated terrorist groups. To work towards an eventual ceasefire and implementation of a UN-backed plan for political transition in Syria. Why is there a war in Syria? Anti-government protests developed into a civil war that, 4 years on, has ground to a stalemate, with the Assad government, Islamic State, an array of Syrian rebels and Kurdish fighters all holding territory. Who is fighting whom? Government forces concentrated in Damascus and the center and west of Syria are fighting the jihadists of Islamic State and Al-Nusra Front, as well as less numerous so-called moderate rebel groups, who are strongest in the north and east. These groups are also battling each other. How has the world reacted? Iran, Russia and Lebanon's Hezbollah movement are propping up the Alawite-led Assad government, while Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Qatar back the more moderate Sunni-dominated opposition, along with the US, UK and France. Hezbollah and Iran are believed to have troops and officers on the ground, while a Western-led coalition and Russia are carrying out airstrikes. 2. Center makes it mandatory for power firms to buy from solid waste plants. GS Paper 2, Government Policies and Schemes. Why recently in news? A circular has been issued to all power distribution companies by the center stating it was mandatory for them to buy electricity from power plants fueled by solid waste. If the instructions are not followed, the government would impose severe penalties on them, an entitlement that comes from the recent amendment of the Electricity Regulatory Act, 2013. The center aims at generating 700 megawatts of electricity from solid waste-run plants in the next 5 years. Points to be noted. As state governments will have to build plants that can produce energy from solid waste, the ministry offered to cover 20% of the cost of each plant. Of its budget allocation of Rs 62,000 crore, Rs 38,000 crore would be spent on building solid waste management infrastructure across the country. The ministry has made a significant progress in setting up an effective door-to-door collection and transportation of solid waste. 3. Review of progress of Dam Rehabilitation and Improvement Project, DRIP. GS Paper 3, Disaster Management. Why recently in news? The review of the progress of Dam Rehabilitation and Improvement Project, DRIP, was done by Shri Shashi Shekhar, Secretary, MOWR, RD and GR on 10th of February 2016. The project has picked up substantial pace after a slow start which was on account of the complex preparatory phase of the project. The project involving 9 implementing agencies, IAS, across 7 states of India, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Uttarakhand, and Jharkhand, targets rehabilitation of about 225 dam projects, and preparatory activities have been completed for 207 dams. About Dam Rehabilitation and Improvement Project, DRIP. The Dam Rehabilitation and Improvement Project, DRIP, has been taken up with the financial assistance of the World Bank for implementation initially in 4 states, namely Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, and Tamil Nadu, and in Central Water Commission, CWC. Few more states may join DRIP at a later stage, for which a provision of unallocated resources has been made in the project estimate. DRIP will be implemented over a period of 6 years starting from 18th of April 2012. The project consists of 3 components: rehabilitation and improvement of dams and associated appurtenances, dam safety institutional strengthening in participating states and CWC, and project management. Implementation agencies. The implementation agencies for DRIP are water resources departments and state electricity boards in the participating states and Central Water Commission at central level. The state implementing agencies will have responsibility for implementation of works of dams under their charge, and responsibility for coordination and management of such works within a state rests with the concerned State Project Management Unit, SPMU. The overall project oversight and coordination are to be carried out by Central Project Management Unit, CPMU, headed by the project director with the assistance of an engineering and management consultant. The consultant has to report to and take instructions from the project director, CPMU. 4. Act Against Devdasi System, SC tells states. GS Paper 1, Salient Features of Indian Society, Exploitation of Women. Why recently in news? Condemning the prevalence of the illegal practice of dedicating young girls as devdasis, the Supreme Court described the practice as an evil done to women, who were later even subjected to sexual exploitation and pushed into prostitution. The Supreme Court has directed Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and other states and union territories, UT, to implement strictly the Centre's advisory to check undesired and unhealthy practice of forcing young girls to serve as devdasis. The court recently took on record the advisory sent by the Home Ministry to all state governments. What is Devdasi system? Devdasi system is a religious practice whereby parents marry a daughter to a deity or a temple. The marriage usually occurs before the girl reaches puberty. In recent decades, the practice has been used to push young girls into prostitution. While various state governments have enacted laws to stop such practices, the tradition remains entrenched in some parts of the country, especially some southern states. The practice of Devdasi system in any form is in total contravention of the provisions of Section 370 and 370A as amended through Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 as well as Section 372 of Indian Penal Code. It is also against Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. 5. Himalayan Griffon spotted in Goa. GS Paper 3, Biodiversity. Why recently in news? Birdwatchers in Goa have reported spotting the rare Himalayan griffon, also known as Himalayan vulture. The Himalayan griffon was previously believed to belong to the upper Himalayas and was presumed to stray till the Gangetic plains at the most. But, In recent years, the bird has been spotted even in southern states including Kerala, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. In 2013, however, an exhausted juvenile was rescued in Thrissur district of Kerala. In the same year, multiple sightings of the species were also reported from Bangalore in Karnataka and Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh. Earlier this year, the same species was reportedly spotted in Kega in Karnataka, the network of avid birdwatchers said. Himalayan griffons do not breed in the first 3 years, and hence juvenile birds of the species do not remain in breeding grounds to avoid competition. 6. Madhya Pradesh gets its first mega food park, expected to benefit about 25,000 to 30,000 farmers. GS Paper 3. Transport and marketing of agricultural produce and issues and related constraints. Why recently in news? In order to give an impetus to the growth of the food processing sector in Madhya Pradesh, the first mega food park in the state promoted by MS Indus Mega Food Park Private Limited was recently inaugurated by the centre. A second mega food park has also been sanctioned by the Ministry for the state, which will be ready in the next 24 to 30 months. This food park has been set up with the project cost of Rs 127.70 crore in an area of 53.78 acres. It will have various facilities including cold storage, dry warehouse, instant quick freeze, modern quality control lab and other processing facilities for fruits and vegetables. This mega food park provides a modern infrastructure for arresting post-harvest losses of horticultural and non-horticultural produce and provides impetus to the growth of food processing sector in Madhya Pradesh. It will also help in providing better prices to farmers, reduce wastage of perishables, add value to agricultural produce, and create huge opportunities for entrepreneurship and employment for the youth of the state. The mega food park is expected to provide direct and indirect employment to about 6,000 people and benefit about 25,000 to 30,000 farmers in its catchment area.